Here we are again. Hello, everybody. It is Monday, May 16th, 2022. I'm Linda Daniels, and this is Northampton Wolves, Lunch with Linda. Thanks for joining me today. It is a glorious day out there. It has been a beautiful week. I'm wondering if those of you that watched on Wednesday got some of your sweaters washed and spread out to dry on this what was a really beautiful sunny, dry, hi Barb, perfect for washing sweaters week or weekend. I got a few of mine done, but what I really got done yesterday was a real deep clean of our bedroom, meaning that we moved all the furniture, we vacuumed down all the walls and all the nooks and crannies that have collected dog hair all winter. So last night when we went to bed, it felt really good to be in a really clean bedroom. Hi, Eileen. Hi, Marie. Hey, Brianna. All right, Brianna says she actually did get to do some washing. That's wonderful. Hi, Dale. Yeah, and it didn't take long to dry, did it? Tell me that it didn't, because mine dried pretty quickly out there. If it gets really humid, that's when they tend to take a little bit longer, but usually the air blowing through them dries everything really quickly. I still have a few more to go. I did about 6 sweaters this week, and as you can imagine, I have a pile of stuff that still needs to be done. Hi, Sally. But it looks like this week will be another great week to do any of that. So if you didn't get to it, try and get a couple things done this week, and then you'll feel good about that. We are, and the freezer update is at very first, hey Paula, and Linda and Kathy. At first, when I mentioned it to my husband, he was like, no, right away. He was like, no, you're not going to do that, because he just wants all this stuff out there. But I did manage to get him to think about it a little bit more, and I emptied one whole plastic bin that was in my office of yarn in there and shut the door. I mean, we're in no rush to replace the freezer as it is, so I'm starting to use it. In the meantime, if I have to empty it, I have to empty it when we do get around to it. But right now, it is being used for yarn storage. So later on this week, I'll take a picture of it and I'll post that for all of you to see on Instagram and Facebook, so you can see how my switch from plastic bins to a dead freezer switcheroo is going. And I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to work nice. The only problem is because it's not plugged in, there's no light when I open the door. I need a little flashlight to shine on the yarn so I know what's in there and can find what I'm looking for. Along with this beautiful week, the flowers have just been amazing. When I opened the windows yesterday in the house, you could smell the lilacs, and all of the lilac bushes are blooming like mad. So I did cut some and bring some, and also all of our lily of the valley are 2 favorite spring flowers, because they are certainly the most fragrant flowers out there. Are you cutting flowers yet from your yard? I hope so, because man, there's nothing like having a little vase that just fills the house with that beautiful aroma. We are in anticipation of that. This is the season for graduations and weddings, maybe baby showers coming along, and we had a little project here in the store, and I was thinking this would really translate well to any of those kinds of events, especially if you have a group of friends that are knitters. We did a little project. Good, Shelley. Shelley just brought in Lily of the Valley and lilacs. The only thing wrong is the lilacs don't always last that long. You have to really make sure they have lots of water. But anyway, in the store, we got together some of our favorite people, and we talked about doing a project, which we did, and I wanted to show it to you. We did very little planning, and this project can be done either with a lot of planning or, like we did, very little planning. Basically, we simply used a template for a size. I said to all of my knitters that were going to be involved with this, I want you to make a square that's 7 by 7 inches. We didn't talk about color, which of course you could plan. We didn't talk about yarn other than it being a worsted weight and it being a real wool rather than a machine washable wool. And then I just said, do what you want and bring it back. And then I put it all together into a blanket. So with very little planning, as I began to get these squares back from these people, it was my job to put them all together. I was a little bit nervous because we had not done any of those things. We hadn't planned color, we hadn't planned design. And with what was coming in, I was afraid that it wasn't going to look good, but I'm gonna show it to you because we're ready to send it. And I want you to understand that even without planning, when something comes together, it just works. And sometimes it's just so amazing. I know I didn't ask you, Eileen, but I'll tell you why later. So we have a little blanket for a very dear friend. And this is what it has come out to be. So we even have a crocheted square in with all of these knitted squares. So different colors, different motifs, some even different size. This, of course, is my strip because I had to make one more and I didn't have enough yarn for this. This is a sheep right here, if you can see it, and a star. We have a teapot and a knitting needle. And and a ball of yarn. I just sewed them all together using I had some ends from the squares, but I also used different yarn to put it together. And then I just did a crochet border all around the edge. So I'm gonna move this and try and stand back a little bit so that maybe you can see more of how the whole thing comes together. And this is really a blanket about love. You know, just, we all worked together to make it, and I think that it will be greatly appreciated. So you can do it by yourself. Rosemarie is saying that she's making a baby Afghan just using up scraps, same kind of thing. But if you have somebody special in your life with a special event, and you know that there are other people that person knows that knits, you can come together. And even if you don't have 5 or 6 friends that knit, even 2 or 3 people can put together something simple but beautiful. And with a little more planning, it can really, really come together and really be representative of the love and the thoughts and the caring that you have for them. So a baby blanket like that, and a graduation thing for a high school person to take off to college, and carry a little bit of that community along with them. Somebody who's grieving and needs a little hug or comfort along the way. That's a really fun, different kind of gift that will last for a really long time. So think about that the next time you have to do something for somebody. Or like Rosemarie is doing, just use up a bunch of scraps of stuff that you have. We are about to send out our new spring summer class and workshop schedule. They are already all live on the website. So if you have a chance and you have a minute, you can go to the website, read about them. Oh yeah, Eileen, sorry. Yeah, Eileen just did, when we posted a picture of it, Eileen did a blanket in all one color, an off-white, for a wedding gift. I'm glad, the shower was this weekend. So Eileen says that Leon loved hers. It was all different stitch patterns that she put together, and that was really beautiful and really big. Okay, so back to classes. So all the classes are live on the website, and I've planned quite a few of them. If they don't fill, then I won't have them. And by fill I mean have at least 4 people in them. But they're all project specific. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is called Pressed Flowers, and this is a shawl pattern that's on Ravelry. There are over 1,000 pictures of people that have done it, and a lot of people have done it with 2 solid colors, but I've started one in 1 solid color and 1 multicolor, and I brought in what I've got done so far to show you. I'm using a skein of Feederbrook yarn, Entropy Decay, and a solid gray background. This is a slip stitch pattern that any of you that have tried a slip stitch pattern know that doing a project like that with slip stitches is really the easiest way to get color work into your life, because you only ever work with 1 color at a time. So when you look at the row that's on the needle, you can see that there are 2 colors. There's the multicolor, and then there is the solid color. But I was only knitting the multicolor, and the solid color stitches were simply slipped. I do that for 2 rows, and then on the next row I change, and the next 2 rows are done just with the solid color, and you slip the multicolor stitches. So this does have a graph with it, and it is a fairly simple but really striking triangular shawl pattern. So this is the first project that's coming up. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because if you do want to take the class, you will want to choose your colors beforehand. When you do something with a slip stitch pattern like this, you want to make sure that your colors have high contrast. And I put together a few samples so that you could see what I mean. So in these samples, took a skein of the Entropy Decay and a skein of Emma's DK weight yarn as well. So this color and this color will work, but do you see how there's some of this green in here? And when you have 2 colors that have some of the same in them, you end up with some muddy spots. It won't be as dramatic as it would if you combined this color, this isn't what I pulled to go with it, but with something that's really bright and different. Or I originally put, not these 2, sorry, these 2 together. How deep a base this will be, but how much of a contrast there will be using this for the flowers. It will really just jump off the knitting.
The knits, because this had teal in it.
Exactly. Even better than that one. And the same with these 2. So these 2 colors look fantastic together, but you want those flowers to show. You want the shape to really show. So even though it would seem that, oh, this will make a beautiful garment, it will not be as dramatic a combination as if you used, I keep grabbing the wrong thing.
This one?
I should look at what I'm doing. These 2 together, that's not what I had this one. These 2 together, because they're completely different. Or even these 2. What am I doing?
Sorry.
These 2. There we go.
Oh, so that makes sense, because the darkest in the multicolor isn't that dark.
Yes. So you can use a very dark base and a very contrast for the flowers, and that means that it's really going to be, I mean, you can almost see how rich this is going to look just by holding these together. It's a really fun pattern. Now, I have written down that it is for an intermediate knitter, and I'll tell you why in a second, because I also wanted to show you this color against a navy. And let me run that around. And we also have a color that's almost black. Thank you, Kate.
So that's even sharper.
That's even sharper.
I like that.
I mean, this black obviously would go with everything. And you know what? I pulled that blue out.
To go with the green?
Yes. No, I pulled that blue to go with the black. because I was going to show this one. So you can go with a darker multicolor and still use a dark background, and they will still really pop. And versus this color with the navy, there's a little bit, a few inches of navy, but it does have the white in it. So I think it might still be okay. But really and truly, the sharper and more intense your contrast, the better the thing is going to show up. So we've got lots of suggestions for that. And the Entropy TK is a kind of a self-striping. It does have long periods of color before it changes again. And so that's going to result in, as you can see in my sample, where you have big sections of the flowers that really show up in one color. So this is a fun, easy pattern. And what I was going to say is, I put it down for an intermediate knitter because there's lots of stuff going on at once. So first of all, you are increasing at each end and in the middle. And you, after the first 20 rows, you are working from a chart. The first 20 rows are written out with specific directions, but after that, it is a chart. It is a slip stitch. And I don't know about you guys, but my older eyes are running into some trouble with really tiny print. And I found that the slipped stitches she had marked with a tiny little S inside the box. So I wasn't completely happy with that. But it is a pattern that is a small enough repeat and repetitive enough so that after the first couple of flowers, you know what you're doing, and you get the count. So you're not locked into the chart. You might actually reference the chart just at the beginning of the rows to make sure that the first flower is going to end up in the right place. But other than that, after that, you will be able to just figure out where the flowers go based on where the first one was. So it's just a matter of counting and then just a matter of watching. And like I said, it's just one color at a time. So that's the first workshop that we're going to do. And that's a lot of these I scheduled over 3 meetings. So the first meeting will get you going. We'll talk about gauge. We'll get the pattern set up. And then the next 2 meetings will solve any problems from there as you go on. And just quickly speaking of that, we did get 3 of the sea glass sweaters in. So we have put them up in a window. One of them is not finished, guess whose? And if you want to come in and take a look at those, lots of different treatments of the ends. So we can talk to you about what each person did to take care of all the ends on the inside of the sweater. But it also, I hope, will motivate a lot of you to jump in and try that sweater if you get a chance. They're all very unique. Each one is really different and kind of a reflection of the person that knit them. So if anybody else gets close to finishing that was in that class, we'll be happy to add your sweater to the collection in the window. That's the first class that's coming up. I also scheduled a class on my side-to-side sweater. It's the one that I own and made for myself is kind of a bright orange and yellow. I will be putting a picture of that on the email when I send that out. I'm also going to do Elizabeth Zimmerman's surprise jacket. That's a really fun project because it is another really unique shaping to it. You're making a sweater, but it's all in one piece, but not in the round. It's knit flat, and the surprise comes at the end when you fold it all together, and all of a sudden you have a sweater. I am also going to be doing a fix mistakes class. We talked on Wednesday about fixing mistakes and how sometimes they can be more serious than you want them to be, but we will cover a lot of the basic mistakes and some more serious ones. We're also going to do a finishing day. So if you've got something, in the fixing mistakes class, I'm going to be demonstrating how to fix a lot of common mistakes, but I also want people to bring in. If you've got a project that you've really screwed up and you've just thrown it in a corner or the back of the closet and you want to drag it out and kind of see what needs to be done in order to save it, I would love for you to bring that. And all of these classes also will be both in person and Zoom. So if you don't want to come into the store and take the class, we can arrange for you to be there in a Zoom kind of meeting. Okay, so pressed flowers, the side to side, the Elizabeth Zimmerman, fixing mistakes, finishing, and then I also am going to do, hold your breath, a brioche class. We're going to start another brioche class that is a cowl, and I'm going to start that, and that also is done with 2 colors. So it's 2-color brioche, and that's going to pretty much take us through June. So I hope you read the email, take a look at the website, and see if there's anything you're interested in doing for a summer project. Because even though it's nice and hot, I really don't understand people who say they don't knit in the heat, because all of us are sitting inside an air-conditioned place or in the evening in front of a fan. There's always time to knit, especially during the summer, I think, because things slow down a little bit. Maybe you have a little bit more time, and you can be working on something that will be ready for you to wear in the fall. And isn't that the whole idea, that we have something really special and new to wear in the fall? I also wanted to tell you about one fun event that we have coming up this month, at the end of the month. There have been all kinds of sheep and wool fairs and festivals all over the place. This past weekend was the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool. Last weekend was, there was a Connecticut Sheep and Wool, and there was the Maryland Sheep and Wool. Adrian was at a Deerfield Sheep in the Street festival and did pretty well there selling her yarn. Well, at the end of this month, over Memorial Day, is the Cummington Sheep Festival. And if you've never been up there, it is a fun little day. They have sheepdog trials. They've got all kinds of different breeds of sheep, and they'll be showing sheep shearing. And then they have a lot of yarn vendors there as well. So a lot of small yarn vendors there as well. But if you get a chance, you might want to head up that way. And it's a fun little day. But one of the people that are going to be there this year is Katie Sullivan from Bobolink Yarns. And we have been carrying her yarn for quite a while. This is what it looks like. This is one of her sock yarns. And what Katie is doing is breed specific, which is what this show that Adrian was at is about. Breed specific means that the wool that's used to make this yarn is from one specific breed of sheep. It's not a mix. And a lot of times, I'm just looking, yeah, this is the settlement sock. So this is from one particular farm up in Vermont, and one specific type of sheep. Katie collects the wool, has it spun, and then dyes it herself. So she's making several different kinds. This is one of the colors of sock, and then she's also done these as well, multicolored sock yarns. And then she's got solid color yarns as well that she's done that we've hung up in the window. Well, on Friday, May 29th, Friday evening, she and Donna Druckness are going to be here doing a little talk about breed-specific yarns, how she is collecting the yarn, and what she's done to have it, the fleece, and what she's done to having that fleece turned into yarn, and why it's really important to protect some of these breeds that are, we want to preserve their fleece and their meat. A lot of sheep farmers are raising the sheep for meat, not for yarn. So these little collaboratives, if you will, that are gathering the fleece and having it turned into yarn are doing their part to prevent all of that fleece from just ending up in the landfill. So Katie and Donna are going to be here. Donna is another local, somewhat local, from Vermont, small independent designer yarn manufacturer, and she's going to be talking about local sock yarns and why you should choose one over the other, or what are the best for socks. This is going to be an event that we have to limit to 25 people, and the tickets are $10. You can purchase them here in the store, and we would appreciate it if you purchase them beforehand. Like I said, it's Friday night, May 29th at 7 o'clock. It'll be about an hour speech. We're going to have refreshments and cookies and maybe a little something special to drink. We are going to have door prizes, and we're going to do a yarn tasting of some of these breed specific yarns that Katie is doing, so that you'll have a chance to really work with them and see what they're like. But we really are limited in the number of people that we can have at this event. So if you are at all interested, don't waste time. Give me a call and let me know that you're interested in coming so I can reserve a seat for you. Katie has also done, Katie and her mother have combined to do a lot of different hat kits that we've had in the store, and they have a little snowman mitten kit as well. So we'll have a lot of those kits that you can look at. In fact, we've knit up a lot of the hats as samples as well. So she's working really hard to get this business off the ground and really doing a service to a lot of the area sheep. Oh, sorry. The 27th. That's the night before Saturday, right? Why did I think it was the 29th? Are you looking at the calendar?
I can.
Yeah, what is Memorial Day weekend?
It's the 30th. It's Monday, Memorial Day. So 28th.
Okay, so that's right. It is the 27th. Sorry. Thanks, Shelley.
27th is a Friday.
It's Friday the 27th. For some reason, I kept thinking Saturday was the 30th. Okay, my mistake. So Friday, May 27th at 7 o'clock, the night before Cummington Fair, Sheep and Wool Fair. They're going to go up and set up, and then they're going to come here and have the talk. So 25 people. Shelley, absolutely. We will reserve a seat for you. See that? There, we got our first customer. Katie has also done, last year she did a live from her lambing event up in her barn. If you joined us for that, that was a lot of fun to see all of these new bouncy lambs out there. So let's see, that I think is pretty much it for today. We're still open Wednesday through Sunday. Hopefully you get a chance to get in and see the sea glass sweaters in the window. Take a look at what we've got going for new models and new patterns and new yarn. I'm going to flash this. This is the newest book from Lane Magazine. It goes on sale next week. It is all about Estonian knitting, and there are some beautiful sweaters in this. We are looking forward to, we should be getting in more copies of their book Worsted by the end of the month. I think the ship date was at the very end of the month, so we'll have that in the store as well. And until then, I hope you guys keep knitting. Go knit something. And we got 2 people to respond to our plea for new teachers. I'm going to put this in the email as well. If you have a project that you love to knit, and you've made many of them, if you think that you could teach a beginner class, or a specific class, like maybe a baby top-down sweater, please contact me. We want to have a lot of teachers on board. We want to have a lot of new and different classes going on, so we're really looking for people to help us with that. And even if you don't think you can teach, come talk to me, because I can give you lots of tips. We're going to pay you. We're not going to ask you to do it for free. We're going to pay you $25 an hour. And we're going to limit the class sizes between 4 and 6 people, so you will not be overwhelmed. And even if you want to just try it once and then decide whether it's something you want to continue to do. So we would love to have some little ideas from you. It doesn't even have to be about a specific project. Maybe you just want to teach a class on gauge and what it means, and doing little sample swatches, stuff like that. Please call me or email me. All right, so that's it for today. Everybody go out and enjoy the afternoon before we get more thunder showers in tonight. And did you see that sunset last night? It was the most colorful thing I've seen in quite a while. So go knit something, and I'll see you this week. Bye.